You know what apocalypse stories and games need? More apocalypse. What the fuck does that mean, you rambling moron? I'm glad you so politely asked. Think of an apocalypse piece of media you've enjoyed. It was probably quality media. But trace the problem that caused the apocalypse back to its root cause. Can you find one singular thing that caused it all? That's what I mean when I say it needs more apocalypse. I want end of the world stories to have the end of all days caused by more than just one damn thing. I'm not just complaining because I'm an overstimulated child. I think it can actually help the story in a few different ways too. Take zombie stories for example. Don't get me wrong, I love zombie stories. I think they're one of the best monsters, so to speak, for a variety of reasons. But with zombies, a lot of the time they can get repetitive because once everyone has a firm grasp on killing them, that's kinda it. Almost no amount of zombies is really gonna be a threat again unless the characters supremely screw up. The story starts having to come up with some pretty contrived reasons to keep things going, mentioning no Walking Deads I mean names. Now if you had some more variety for what made the apocalypse happen, you could keep both the zombies and the other factor fresh. Like say a minor nuclear war ravages civilization as a whole, but kept a large amount of people and land intact, which allowed the zombies a chance to infect everyone. And you can bring in a military power for a bit to bring things away from the zombies for a little while also keeping the zombies as a whole a prime threat. Like maybe during the middle of a battle, a massive horde of undead shows up everyone has to fight. Everyone gets a break from the zombies still get to be a threat, everyone wins. I mean, except the people in the show, but that's kind of a given. Depending on what exactly you're working with, this can also make the thing that causes the end not seem like complete bullshit meant to push something forward. Yeah, I'm not even gonna be coy about it, I mean the fucking end times. Eat shit, Archaon. Another issue this can solve is how exactly one singular thing managed to cause the end of all civilization as we know it. Now, some things make more sense than others, like a nuclear war. There's no coming back from that one. But zombies, again, I love them, but by this point, the idea of a zombie apocalypse on its own would never happen. Shoot the motherfucker biting people in the head, it should never get to the point it usually does. Or like the movie A Quiet Place. Great movie, don't get me wrong, but are you gonna tell me no one honked their horn once to make him vulnerable for 5 seconds? No one noticed it? The military couldn't figure out how to turn up the AC/DC for a few minutes to kill him, when as far as I know, that's really the only thing that ended the world, the crazy sound monsters? If you added some second factor in, you don't run into that question. Maybe the zombies aren't much of a threat on their own, but supernatural forces give them abilities far beyond what they would otherwise have, or using the zombie outbreaks as a perfect distraction for their own plans to go off without a hitch. Or with those noise monsters, maybe aliens are dropping them in at points where they'd be least expected for maximum damage. The two apocalypses don't even need to be related, just have them both occurring at the same time. It gets around the idea of one singular thing ending the whole world, which a lot of times isn't always believable depending on what exactly the cause is. The game Neo Scavenger does a decent job of this, I think. Looking at little bits of old newspapers you can scavenge up as well as the enemies of the game, you can see there's a whole lot going on for this game's end of the world. Genetic manipulations of crops has led to some kind of horrific mutations in plant life, monstrous wildlife and cryptids like werewolves and the Enfield horror encroach on rural and suburban areas of the world, throwing them into the danger zone as well. And who could forget this demonic thing? See, it wasn't just one thing that brought about the end of the world. All these different things put strain upon society until it ultimately couldn't handle itself anymore and largely collapsed. As for the game itself, it gives you a variety of issues to deal with while playing, from monsters to raiders to tainted landscapes. It's not even an over-the-top setting where you backflip off a roof blowing away demons and aliens left and right. It's pretty heavily grounded in reality, even with the supernatural elements. You spend most of your time going through ruined buildings and scavenging the leftovers of society just to get by. When you do come across a werewolf or a mutant, it makes the world seem a lot more fleshed out and real than just another end-of-the-world game. And a crackhead kicks your teeth and you close the game for a while. It's great. I hate it. Also, as an aside, I've enabled monetization for this video, which is amazing that I got here. First of all, thank you all. But more importantly, I can justify my playing of this game to some good friends who gave me shit for it. Fuck you guys, I can make actual, real money from Neo Scavengers. Suck my diabetic cock. Anyways, back to the program. Now, of course, there'd be issues having all these things together. Going for a serious approach is going to be much harder trying to balance all these elements at once and not make it seem silly. And giving them all equal attention to detail is a whole other monster to deal with. But making something sillier and more campy is a valid path all on its own, and each apocalyptic event doesn't necessarily need to be given equal amounts of attention. One thing could be far more prevalent. Zombies could be the main focus of the story and mostly be an issue in urban environments where heavily populated areas are, and the skinwalkers can go nuts out in the countryside if you happen to venture out there, even if you don't really need to. Fuck it, throw some vampires up the mountains, why not? It's in danger of becoming a bloated and messy product, but I truthfully think if well done, then end of the world stories could have a whole lot more going on for them if you just add a bit more apocalypse to your apocalypse. Hopefully, you agree. Shorter video this time, just something I had a few thoughts on. Thanks for watching, and take care out there. This game seems to think that I'm sick. All I can say to that is, you're goddamn right.